Hello and welcome to TVS News at 5 with me, Douglas Elliott. Our top story. With a few days left before Ramadan, both the Kuching North City Commission, DBKU, and Kuching South City Council, MBKS, has decided to cancel this year's Ramadan Bazaar.
Statement released on Wednesday, DBKU said the decision was made after taking into considerations the current COVID-19 situation in the state. Moreover, the move was in view of the high-risk exposure to close contacts, which may result in the likelihood of the spread of COVID-19 infections, which can hamper the government's effort to eradicate the epidemic. Earlier last month, the DBKU approved of the opening of Ramadan Bazaars under strict SOP in 3 areas, namely Satok, Semara, and Sukmaria. Similarly, MBKS has also cancelled its Ramadan Bazaar at Student Community Market, citing precautionary measures to avoid crowds and curb the spread of COVID-19.
The Sibu Division Disaster Management Committee, or SDDMC, would team up with government agencies to step up monitoring works to ensure strict compliance with COVID-19 standard operating procedures at workplaces.
The 4 teams, which would be led by the police, would inspect business premises, industrial areas, and plantations for SOP violations. SDDMC Coordinator Dr. Anwar Rapai stressed the importance of adhering to workplace SOP in order to avoid new clusters and reducing the risk of getting infected. The Jalan Maju cluster in Sibu recorded 3 cases as of yesterday.
And things are lighting up in Mukah as 470 households in its remote areas are about to have electricity supply by this year.
The Sarawak government, through its Ministry of Utilities, is accelerating the delivery of rural electrification projects to ensure electricity supply for the whole state by 2025. About 340 rural households from 21 villages in the Mukah, Balinian, and Tanjung Manis districts have been lighted up under Phase 1 of the project. This year, another 470 households from 13 longhouses in Dalat, Matu, and Daro districts will be connected to the state's electricity grid under Phase 2, giving them access to 24-hour energy. 11 other villages in Ulu Dalat and Matu will be connected to the grid by 2022. The electrification project is part of the initiative under the Accelerated Rural Electrification Scheme, or RES, by the state government to extend grid lines into the interior.
And meanwhile in Kuching, 22 people were arrested for drug-related offenses during an operation on Monday.
Dubbed Ops Tapis, the operation involved a total of 42 police officers at 3 different locations, namely Kampung Bintawa, Petrajaya, and Santubong. The operation was also meant to combat drug trafficking and drug abuse activities in the areas. In a statement, Kuching Deputy Police Chief Superintendent Mervin Lissa said 30 packets of the methamphetamine worth 1,967 ringgit was seized during an operation in Santubong. Meanwhile, 13 straw tubes of methamphetamine and 4 packets of Aramin 5 pills estimated to be 806 ringgit was confiscated from a 30-year-old in Petrajaya. 18 men and women aged between 15 and 45 in Kampung Bintawa and Santubong. The case is being investigated under Section 15(1)(a) of the Dangerous Drugs Act 1952.
Welcome back. A total of 20.25 million ringgit had been approved under the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture, MOTAC, to 103 museums this year, in hopes that would benefit the said museums for repair and upgrading works in the tourism sector, for visitings to be more conducive.
This was to garner accuracy in historical facts when visiting museums. In the same development, there are 236 museums nationwide, with 22 of them under the Department of Museums Malaysia. Meanwhile, Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture, Datuk Nancy Shukri hopes that the product and services offered by the museums will be in line with enhanced information technology.
Ini kerana stigma segelintir masyarakat yang kurang peka dan melihat museum hanya sekadar cerminan peristiwa atau bangunan lama tempat menyimpan barang-barang antik perlu segera diubah.
The Department of Museums Malaysia is targeting 1.5 million visitors this year.
And Nestle Malaysia plans to partner with local restaurants and hotels to launch the food and beverage manufacturers' meat-free menu. The company said this will cater to a wider customer base, adding the response from restaurant chains has been encouraging.
Nestle Malaysia Business Executive Officer Yit Woon Lai said they will also integrate this menu into delivery platforms like AirAsia Food and Food Panda. According to the company, the plant-based facility here is Nestle Malaysia's first such entity within the Association of Southeast Asian Nations or ASEAN region. The facility is the first in ASEAN and one of the only two in Asia. It's catered to the rising demand for plant-based food and will supply local demand as well as exports. Earlier, it was reported that Nestle Malaysia has invested 150 million ringgit to set up the plant-based meat manufacturing facility. Last month, Nestle Malaysia launched the product of the meat-free menu with the South Korean fried chicken restaurant chain Kyochon.
And Forbes has listed tycoon Robert Kwok as Malaysia's richest billionaire in its World's Billionaire List 2021. His estimated wealth even increased to 51.9 billion ringgit this year, despite the COVID-19 pandemic.
Dubbed the Sugar King, the 97-year-old businessman, however, saw a slip in rankings and is now the world's 171 richest man, compared to his position of 141 in 2022. There are a total of 16 billionaires in Malaysia, with Kwok listed under Hong Kong. Following him is Hong Leong Group founder Tan Sri Kwek Leng Chan with estimated wealth of 40 billion ringgit. Other Malaysian billionaires in the list include Tan Sri T. Ananda Krishnan, Tan Sri Teh Hong Piao, brothers Dato' Lee Yo Chor and Lee Yo Seng, Tan Sri Kun Poh Kiang, and Kwan Kam Hom and family.
And on to sports development. Newly crowned All England's men's badminton champion 2021, Lee Jizia, has some similarities with former world number one player Dato' Lee Chong Wei. And this was according to national badminton legend Dato' Mispanside.
The national junior badminton squad's technical director said comparisons could be made based on Zijia's capability and charisma, besides his personal traits in carving a career towards becoming the best player in the world. He told this to reporters at Istana Negara yesterday. Meanwhile, Yang di-Pertuan Agong, Al-Sultan Abdullah Riyatuddin Al-Mustafa Bilal Shah, and Raja Permaisuri Agong had graced the tea reception with the national badminton squad to the All England Open Badminton Championship 2021 at the Palace.
Wrapping up the news at 5, Malaysia is poised to record strong air traffic growth in the ASEAN region. The aircraft manufacturer Airbus is optimistic on Malaysia's quick recovery post the COVID-19 pandemic. This shows that airlines will have a strong role to play to resume and to meet demand.
Air travel from the people will be higher in ASEAN region and regional airlines will have a strong role to play. Airbus Asia Pacific President Anand Stanley said on the global front, Airbus sees the recovery in activities picking up very quickly, especially in countries such as China, India and the US. He encouraged the opening of international borders after domestic travel resumes, at least at the ASEAN level. Stanley said this in order for regional traffic to start recovering quickly, followed by intercontinental or long-haul routes. Being a key country in ASEAN, Malaysia is well positioned to reap the benefits of the resumption in air travel.
And that's all the news at 5 p.m. Be sure to catch TVS Nightline 11:30 p.m. with Charles Haminato. I'm Douglas Elliott. Thanks for watching.